Snap out of it. Stop thinking your vote doesn't matter and doesn't affect our community. This November, truth is, we need everyone to vote. Fill out your ballot early and return it before November 7th. Then text your family and friends that their vote matters and remind them to get up, get out, and be a voter. A message from the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County.
Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for Arlington Mayor. I'm Karen Matson, a member of the League. This forum is being live streamed to our League YouTube channel. To those in the virtual space, thanks for joining us. Let me provide some background on this position of Arlington Mayor. The mayor of a city supervises executive departments, enforces all ordinances within the city, presents an annual statement to the council, prepares the budget, prepares capital improvement plans for present and future development within the city, and nominates members of city boards and commissions. Candidates for Arlington Mayor are Don Vanny and Barb Tolbert. It's the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. The rules for participation in this forum were sent ahead of time to all the candidates. I'll pose the questions. I will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each question. We are using a countdown timer, which is visible to all the candidates, and we're using time limits on answers, which will be strictly enforced. I'll change the starting order for each question, alternating candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. The order for the first question, determined randomly, will be Ms. Tolbert and then Mr. Vanny. With all of that, let's begin. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to this first question. Ms. Tolbert, the first question is, what are the major issues you feel need to be addressed by this office? Please explain why you're focusing on these particular issues. 2 minutes.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. So my main focus will be public safety, because I think that's our top focus. We have developed a lot of tools over the past several years to help our police officers fight the challenges that are created by an alarming drug abuse and declining mental health that we see in our community. Our approach is showing some great success, even with the challenges that were presented by the state legislature's public safety reforms. We have an outreach team, which is an embedded social worker that works directly with one police officer to try and give a compassionate approach to people on the streets and move them towards treatment. We've added domestic violence coordinators to our staff so that we can help navigates of abuse out of the abusive situation and through the criminal justice system. And most recently, with the state program, we're beta testing, we've partnered with the Center for Justice Social Work to have expert support in navigations of our mental health systems. But even with these additional partnerships, we need to help address the complex problems. We need to keep a focus strong on public safety and acquire even more tools for our officers to work with. We've been incrementally adding to our public safety staff, and I imagine we'll keep doing that in the future. My second focus would be on infrastructure investment. It's no surprise that our region is rapidly growing. And along with that comes challenges from every direction, including the state legislature trying to preempt our ability to make policy at the local level on growth. We need to continue to build upon the funding that we have successfully secured, such as the widening of 172nd Street, to prioritize traffic congestion relief. People want to live in great communities with a good quality of life. And that's exactly what we have here in Arlington.
Thank you, Ms. Tolbert. Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Mr. Vanny, your thoughts?
Yeah, the two biggest items, as Barb has stated, and I agree with her. The first one is public safety, and our second one is the growth. How do we manage our growth? I'll start with the public safety. I feel that Arlington, as rapidly as we're growing, we are in a short demand of police officers. I mean, I feel we need more officers for our shifts. And I look back in 1991, we had 10 police officers with 17 reserve officers. Right now, we're just as patrol officers. I won't count detectives and some of those, but just as patrol officers, we've got 23 officers that work the streets. 2 of them opening positions are still open. So we're running with officers, about 21 police officers. And I feel that we need to fund more officers, look for all the tools that we can to get more funding for them, as well as more tools to have them do their daily job. I mean, as Barb said, we're dealing with the opioid and fentanyl epidemics. We're dealing with the homelessness and mental behavior problems. I think on the mental behavior and the homeless, we can deal with some of that with more funding to some of our local programs that we got here. We have one, I think it's the Center for Justice Services, or what do I want to call it there? But yeah, they do a great job. They can come in, officers pick somebody up, they can take them to the hospital. They'll be right there almost by the time the officer can get there and determine if they need to stay in the hospital or if they're capable of going to jail. So, I mean, I think we need to work more on some of them social services that are out there and fund more of them. As far as the growth, I agree too. It's the infrastructure. We got to plan smartly for our growth and work with the infrastructure, Highway 531. And I think we need to really be pushing the state and the federal government. They're putting us off another 2 years. We should be really pushing because that project will just keep increasing the cost.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Mr. Vanny. On to our second question. Candidates will have 90 seconds for the next 5 questions. Timer, please adjust the clock accordingly. And Mr. Vanny, please respond first to this next question, and that is, what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address the issues you just brought up?
Qualifications, the last 4 years, I've been on council. I've had the opportunity to understand and view how the zoning issues for different building aspects, how we moderate our growth, that aspect of it. I've also rode with the police officers. I average probably a ride along with our police officers once a month. And I see how the ever-changing laws that our state legislature pushes down to us, how that affects their daily job and what tools that they do need to continue to stay ahead of the crime and stuff in the new manners that how they have to handle it. So I think, like I say, every tool we can give our police department, I mean, I look at, we can do that and just try to put it within our budget, find the budgeting for it. I've got 30 years of budget, contract management, contract negotiation skills that I can bring to the table. I mean, I got a lot of opportunities there that I can help them with.
Thank you. Ms. Tolbert?
Thank you. Whether it's recovering from a fiscal crisis or a natural disaster or even a global pandemic, I've had the honor of leading the city through both crisis and recovery. My years of business experience give me an ability to understand budgeting and how to have a city live within its means. I have a natural ability to build relationships and partnerships that have expanded the ability of the city to problem solve. I've built a highly qualified and productive team at the city of staff. They're ready to take on the challenges of the future while protecting the unique character of our city. And I've also witnessed firsthand the collective strength and spirit of our community. When we come together to solve problems, there hasn't been anything we haven't been able to overcome.
Thank you. On to the next question. Ms. Tolbert, you'll take the lead on this one, 90 seconds. What measures, if any, would you support to keep housing options affordable in your city?
Well, our city of Arlington has a history of development that left us behind on having a range of housing for people with a range of incomes. How can we reduce the cost of building a home that actually leads to a lower cost to the buyer? One of the ways is to ensure that we have the ability to make policy at the local level and not be preempted by the state legislation, which has been the path of the state legislation for the last couple years, that effectively substitutes state priorities for local policy making. We need a variety of housing types and a variety of housing costs. We have caught up with our deficiency in multifamily rental housing, even with this rapid growth, though, in that we have not seen a reduction in rental costs. We need to have options for creating a pathway from home ownership to home ownership. We've discussed this with the City Council to find ways that would ensure that we have a regulatory platform that is dependable and would build more affordable housing options for our residents. I hear most from parents and seniors in the community, parents who are wondering how their children will be able to afford to have a home in the community they've grown up in, and seniors who want to age in place. So we need to look at things like ADUs and other programs that will expand our housing options and types.
Thank you. Mr. Vanny, your thoughts?
No, I would support any measures that would help lower the costs for families. I mean, I hate seeing just strictly like we have seen here, catching up with our growth with the apartments. I mean, every time we build more apartments, it takes away for I look at, I like to see the mix in neighborhoods where you see like a single family home, maybe a couple townhouses, then apartments, then some more town or single family homes. I don't want to lose where these young families just starting out will never have the opportunity to buy their own home and live in their own home. So I will support any way we can. But like Barb said, we've got to work within the state guidelines because they are the ones that push down some of these requirements to us, and we have to follow them. So it's just, we need to try to figure out how the cities and the local governments can control what can happen in their cities. And like I say, to me, I would just support anything that somebody could come out that would help us make more affordable housing for all incomes.
Thank you. Mr. Vanny, you'll take the lead on this one. Homelessness is a growing issue for many in our communities. As a council member, what solutions would you propose? I'm sorry, as the mayor, as the mayor, what solutions would you propose?
I feel the more like our police department, our embedded social worker, I mean, some of the other programs that we have locally right now, I mean, the more we can have contact with the homeless people and have more programs available to help these people that are out there in the homeless society to get them in housing. I mean, as far as you start seeing the state and the counties and stuff are starting to put in buying these hotels and trying to make the housing and stuff. But I think with some of that housing that we create, we also need to give them the education and the assistance to get away from bad habits. You hit the root cause. What caused them to become homeless in the first place? Was it drugs? Was it social issues? And just, we need to hit the root cause and help them with education on how they can get back into society, get back on their home, on their own feet in their own home. So to me, like I say, anything we can get as funding through state, federal government, or whatever, to get us more of these facilities that will give the homeless people the full, I call it the full meal deal, where they get them a house, go through the training, get their feet back on the ground, get them a job, and help them along the way. Just don't put them in a home and say, here you go. I don't think that's going to help. It's just, they're going to sit there and grasp, but how am I going to stay here?
Ms. Tolbert?
Thank you. This is such a complex issue, but I'm proud to say that we've had success in this area in the city of Arlington with our partnerships, with our outreach team, the embedded social worker, which teams up a master level social worker with a police officer, and they go out and work directly with homeless people in the streets, approaching them, trying to encourage them and navigating them into services, including substance use disorder assessments and then full treatment if it's needed. They also then follow the person after treatment to housing navigation and placement, so we can actually get them into safe and sober housing. We started this program in 2015, and to date, we've successfully had 175 individuals complete treatment and 118 become housed. These types of programs are successful. They're time consuming, and they work on building trust with the people who have problems who are homeless to begin to try and get to that root cause and solve the problem. We've done education programs for our community based on what we heard from people who were panhandling in our community, that they could actually make a living standing on our street corners. And most often that money that we were charitably giving to people we thought were in need was being used to support drug habits or other illicit activities. So we teamed up with the city of Marysville to do an outreach program, education program for our residents, to encourage you to give to the organizations and the nonprofits who actually can provide services for these people.
Thanks very much. Ms. Tolbert, on to a different question. All local jurisdictions are required to update their comprehensive plans in 2024. Are there changes or additions to the current plan that you would suggest? Please explain.
Yes, our staff is currently gathering information that will identify the deficiencies in the types of homes we have in Arlington, as well as some of the deficiencies in our neighborhood. We're committed this time to building a comprehensive plan that looks at some of our neighborhoods through the in-person meetings we've been having and the surveys to find out what's missing: sidewalks, street lighting, other things that make them a better quality of life. And we're going to build that into our comprehensive plan. I was also happy to see House Bill 1181 pass, which requires us to address climate change impacts on our built environment with future comp plans. These comp plans are important because they're a roadmap to how Arlington will grow in the future. And it's a public planning process. We take the input from the public and we build that into this roadmap for how our city will build in the future.
Thanks. Mr. Vanny, your thoughts on any changes to the comprehensive plan?
No, as Barb stated, we are right now in the process of really going through our entire comp plan for 2024. And I mean, one of the things I like is we've got 5 foundational principles for our comp plan that we're utilizing as we do this. One of them, of course, is equity. We're working on the equitable part of it. Neighborhoods and connectivity, where we're looking at our neighborhoods and how they're connected and so forth, what improvements we might need. We've also looking at the economic stability and the vibrancy. How can we help them grow and be more vibrant in the community? The other ones is the climate, like Barb said, the climate adaptation and community resiliency. We got that one. Also the health style activities. I mean, we're looking at that, the lifestyles, their healthy activities. How can we make that happen for them? Maybe it's be streets, walkable streets, trails, and that type of stuff. No, and I think right now, like Barb says, we have the community involved. We're really happy and lucky to have the involvement from our community.
Thank you, Mr. Vanny. You mentioned changing climate, and that's what our next question is all about. What actions, if any, would you propose to respond to that changing climate? 90 seconds.
Our changing climate, I mean, I would pursue right now, our city is already looking at some EV vehicles. We're looking at some solar power for certain buildings. I would like to see that expand where all of our vehicles within the city are the EV type vehicles. As far as the different buildings throughout our public works, our city administration offices, put more solar power up on them, go that route with it. Anything we can do to reduce our carbon footprint is better for our community.
Ms. Tolbert, your thoughts?
Well, the city has already taken some actions, which I think are really good and I'm very proud of. Since early 2000s, we've been designated a tree city, and we're paying attention to our tree canopy, Mother Nature's way of natural carbon sequestration. We have a policy that makes you replace on a 3-to-1 ratio any significant trees that are removed from our city. And in the last 5 years, I'm happy to say we've added over 1,700 net new trees to our city. The quickest way to impact climate change for a small municipality is to pay attention to the restoration of your ecosystems, to rebuild those ecosystems that may have been disrupted in the past, similar to the city's stormwater park, where our stormwater used to go directly into the Stillaguamish River with all of its pollutants. It now runs through a stormwater park with natural plants that naturally filter out those pollutants before the water is returned to the Stillaguamish River. And lastly, we need to work on encouraging people to get out of their cars. The less we drive, the less we pollute the environment. So bringing the services and jobs to people in their own cities, shortening their commuter time, makes it less time that they're in their cars, which not only is less annoying, but it's also better for our environment.
Thank you. And now on to the last question. Timer, we're going to take 60 seconds for this one, so please adjust accordingly. And Ms. Tolbert, you'll lead off. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
Oh, this is my favorite question of all the ones that you sent. I love the city of Arlington, and my love for the city of Arlington runs deep because I've had some magical moments here. I met the love of my life at the Arlington airport. And I also became a private pilot at the Arlington airport. It was the first time I flew an airplane solo. And I'm able to view the city of Arlington in a three-dimensional way. Flying over it, I can see its beauty and its tree canopy cover. So for me, Arlington will always be a magical place because of those two things.
Mr. Banny.
Yes, the magical part of Arlington, like Barb says, it is a magical area. People come here to live because of its magic and its atmosphere. The community thrives on everybody. One of the things, like for me, I mean, I was born and raised here. The day I was actually born, our lovely Stillaguamish River was flooded. And my parents, we lived at that point up on Jim Creek Navy Base. And they tried to get us to town to the hospital, but because of the river being flooded, had to turn around and take my mom back up to the Navy base where I was born. but no, and then like me, myself, my wife, I mean, we met in high school here. I mean, we knew each other through high school. We didn't date through high school, but we met up after high school again and then got together. Like I say, now we've been married 40 years. And it's a great area. And all of our friends, most of them don't ever want to leave Arlington. The other thing too with Arlington is the memories. It's full of memories.
Vanny, we're going to have to end it on those memories. Thank you so much for those thoughts. The League thanks these candidates for joining us tonight and for running for office. It's not always easy to do that. A recording of this forum and others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and YouTube channel. You can find links at lwvsnoho.org. We encourage you to explore additional information about these and all candidates. Vote411.org, sponsored by the League, is another good source of information. The Snohomish County voter pamphlets mailed starting October 18th. Ballots will be mailed October 19th. Election day is November 7th. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum, and special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan School students at turkpride.tv who make this live stream possible. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining us. This concludes our Candidate Forum.
Thank you.